Streaming on clickorlando.com, you're watching News 6 at 10 p.m.
Breaking now on News 6, a statewide Amber Alert, how a shooting investigation led to the search for a missing local teen. And a week after a man died after riding a roller coaster, a woman is suing Universal, how she says she was hurt riding that same coaster at Epic Universe. And tracking the tropics, it doesn't have a name yet, but we all need to keep an eye on what could soon be Imelda. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas tells us why we could see some impacts, even if it stays far offshore.
I mean, who would have thought that that would happen here in Rockledge? We just want to know more answers as to how this could have happened.
She's upset over what a neighbor reportedly called a fun project. Stacks of homemade guns seized by detectives. The charges he now faces.
They're starved. They're starved of funding.
And now at 10, the local school board member is fired up about a new plan allowing private charter schools to take up space in public classrooms free of charge. The big change aimed at giving parents more choice. But we start now at 10 tonight with some breaking news. Thank you for joining us. I'm Matt Austin. Ginger has the evening off. You probably were jarred by the alert coming on your cell phone tonight. A statewide Amber Alert is out for a missing teen in Marion County. But what happened to him is far from certain. So first, take a good look. This is Caden Spate right here. He's 17, was last seen tonight near the 12,800 block of Southwest Highway 484 in the Dunellen area. Let's get you now to some video just in from the scene. Marion County deputies were called out to investigate reports of a possible shooting. They found Spate's car, but he was nowhere to be seen. They have reason to think he may be in the company of 4 males traveling in a light-colored van. They're not saying why he would be with them in the first place. Again, Caden Spate, 17, last seen wearing a T-shirt and jeans. If you see him, call 911. You can also keep up to date and share Amber Alert on social media on the homepage of clickorlando.com. Our other top story at 10 tonight, a heated debate in Eatonville. Passionate people speaking out over a deal reached by the town's mayor, changing the future of a prime piece of property. Ginger has the night off because she was in Eatonville earlier today. She broke the news of a deal for the Dr. Phillips charity to take over the land where Hungerford Elementary sat for more than a century, not far from I-4. Its fate up in the air since it closed around 2010. The charity would buy the land from the school board with plans to turn most of it back over to the town of Eatonville. But many people living there are outraged, as are members of the town council. They symbolically voted against the plan late tonight. News 6 community correspondent Troy Campbell was inside that meeting called earlier today.
Dozens of residents filled the room here behind me in Eatonville. Ultimately, the council voted, the majority of them, to oppose the land deal.
We want to be the ones that are controlling the narrative.
The Eatonville Town Council holding a special meeting Thursday evening to discuss the proposed land deal of the former Hungerford property near I-4. You kind of started the meeting with a message to the council saying that you acknowledge that maybe they should have been involved a little more. Explain that.
They're offended. You would be offended. But I'm the chief executive officer.
Eatonville Mayor Angie Gardner says she understands other council members felt left in the dark over the details of the plan. What would you say are some of the best parts about this plan that has been set forward?
The best part is that the plan we already know. The master plan that we've established will be the guiding document for the fulfillment of that land. We don't have to guess about it. In the past, developers have come and we've waited.
On Tuesday, News 6 broke the news that Orange County Public Schools plans to sell the 117-acre plot of land for $1 million to the Dr. Phillips Foundation. Mayor Gardner says the land would then be developed in accordance to the town's master plan, which would include green space, a pavilion, and an early learning center. What was your response when you found out that this deal was in the works?
To be honest with you, it was unbelievable.
Council members introduced a motion that passed 4-1, essentially strongly recommending OCPS to vote down the proposal. The Orange County School Board is set to vote on this on Tuesday. What is your message to them?
Well, listen, I have a great deal of respect for everybody that sits on that board. We've always had a great relationship, and they I feel like they got our back, and I think they'll do the right thing because it's something that I've always spoke with them on.
And the board for OCPS is set to vote on the deal on Tuesday. In Eatonville, I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Troy Campbell, News 6.
Well, last night we were talking about Tropical Storm Humberto. Tonight it's Invest 94L we're taking a look at, moving closer to Florida, sort of in the general direction. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas has the latest forecast. This is just in, too, huh?
Yeah, we're going to watch this closely, of course, but I'm cautiously optimistic this one's staying out to sea. There's just a few little nuances because of Humberto, which is hanging out right there in the middle of your screen. That's going to cause some issues with the forecast for the next couple of days. So just watching that closely for any shenanigans. If it behaves, though, it should continue to skirt to the north and west a little bit, develop somewhere over the Bahamas, and then take a trip to the north. Now, that's the point that's in question big time, whether it goes back towards the southeast corner of the United States or follows Humberto closer to Bermuda and then back out to sea. So you see here latest modeling just coming in as we speak, and there's a big consensus here that it takes it due north and then back in to the southwest, back to the northwest into the southeast corner of the United States. So several things that we're watching, and again, several nuances. We'll look at the steering current in just 1 second, coming up in about 10-15 minutes. Right now, nice clean sweep. We had some late night thunderstorms just north of us in Ocala. We had a light show going on. Those have since wound down tonight. We'll have more storms tomorrow. We're going to pinpoint that part of the forecast coming up at about 10:19, Matt.
Thank you, Jonathan. Well, right now, we continue to press Universal for answers about what happened the night Kevin Rodriguez Zavala rode Stardust Racers. News 6 has learned someone else is suing over the same roller coaster at Epic Universe. A woman named Sandy Streets claims she was injured on Stardust Racers back in April during previews, according to this. While riding defendant's Universal Stardust Racers roller coaster, plaintiff Sandy Streets' head shook violently and slammed into her seat's headrest throughout the duration of the ride. Streets claims she suffered permanent injuries. She accuses Universal of failing to warn her that her head would be shaken and slammed against the headrest. For a little perspective, personal injury lawsuits like this happen all the time against theme parks. They're not uncommon. This one is noteworthy, though, because Epic Universe has only been open to the public for about 4 months. Universal Orlando has not responded yet to this lawsuit, which was just filed yesterday. It does not appear the company has been formally served with this litigation yet. Meanwhile, your community correspondent Mike Valenti is digging into claims made yesterday about that death that happened last week.
We continue to press Universal for answers about what happened the night that Kevin Rodriguez Zavala rode the roller coaster Stardust Racers at Epic Universe. I'm News 6's Mike Valenti, your Orlando community correspondent, and the attorney representing Kevin's family contends that Kevin's pre-existing spinal condition had nothing to do with his death, while Universal maintains that everything on the ride was working as intended.
We want to be clear, unequivocally clear, that he had no medical emergency. He was just fine.
That was attorney Ben Crump Wednesday at a press conference with the family of Kevin Rodriguez Zavala. Crump said that after speaking to witnesses and conferring with experts, his firm is scrutinizing the restraints on the ride.
That is their concern, that the restraints were the issue. But we will find out, hopefully, we will find out more when Universal is transparent to let us see video.
There's still a lot of things to be looking for in this case, and that's because no case is just cut and dry.
Ken Martin has been an amusement ride safety analyst and consultant for decades.
What exactly happened is to be determined at a later date.
In a letter to staff this week, the president and COO of Universal Orlando Resort said everything on the ride worked as intended. The equipment was intact, and team members followed procedures. A spokesperson with the Department of Agriculture said the state's findings aligned with Universal's.
They came to that very quickly, was very premature. You've got to get the experts in.
Martin notes that it may very well turn out that the lap restraint functioned as intended, but that does not mean it was the most suitable restraint for Kevin.
It's all going to depend on, number one, your weight, or the proposed weight of the rider. It's going to depend on the way the rider's sitting. It hasn't been that long since we reimagined roller coaster restraints. I think we're going to have to go back to the drawing board.
Universal's Guide for Safety and Accessibility advises riders on Stardust Racers that they should be able to independently maintain an upright position and support their torso, neck, and head while absorbing sudden and dramatic movements. It also advises guests that they must be able to take a small step into the ride vehicle, either independently or with help from a companion. We reached out again to Universal Thursday to ask several questions, including about the claims regarding the restraints. We have yet to hear back. I'm your Orlando community correspondent, Mike Valenti, News 6.
Well, take a look at this. This is a sea of homemade guns, many 3D printed. All were seized from a man Rockledge police say is making illegal weapons. He reportedly called it a fun project. Neighbors, they didn't think it was fun when they talked to your Rockledge community correspondent, James Sparvero.
I want to show you our first look at all the guns and gun parts police say were 3D printed by a man who's not allowed to have guns. Police say one of the pink ones was a submachine gun. Wednesday, as Patrick Carmen faced a judge at the county jail.
Are you Patrick Carmen?
Yes, ma'am.
Authorities searched his Pennsylvania Avenue house. According to Carmen's arrest report, he told them the guns were a fun project he was working on.
Next thing you know, there was 10 cop cars.
I asked neighbor Jessica Smith how frightening it was to see a big investigation like this on her street.
Yeah, it was pretty terrifying. So we were all thinking, I don't know, hazardous material? What could it be? Is it a bomb? Is it? And then it turned out to be weapons.
You're not to possess any firearms, any ammunition, or any weapons. Okay.
Judge Kim Musselman assigned Carmen a $15,000 bond on his charge of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. When you hear that this man was allegedly making his own guns.
I know, I can't believe that happened down the street.
And his background as a convicted felon, that has to be just as concerning to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who would have thought that that would happen here in Rockledge? We just want to know more answers as to how this could have happened and, you know, how long it had been going on before we were notified of it. Because God only knows, it happened right down the street.
I wanted to ask police questions, but I was told no further comment as the investigation continues. Specifically, I wanted to ask if any of the guns were sold or shipped, and if they work. I also checked with the jail, and they told me that Carmen still hasn't posted bond. In Brevard County, I'm your Rockledge community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
Well, tonight we're learning how deputies tracked down the driver behind one of our top stories earlier this week. It was this crazy road rage shooting.
This is truly a straight road rage incident and just a pure terror on the highway because this guy's a raging maniac.
Passionate words from the Osceola County Sheriff, how they found an accused guy who was accused of grazing a driver and shooting his passenger in the face. And you might think this is just a grocery store, but for fans of H Mart, it's much more. Why crowds stretched around the building before it opened this morning. First, though, private charter schools will soon take up space in public classrooms free of charge. A big change aimed at giving parents more choice that has some educators upset. You're watching News 6 at 10. We are live on a Thursday night. We're covering Wilbur by the Sea, Windermere, and all of Central Florida. A raging maniac. That's how the Osceola County Sheriff described the man just arrested in connection to a road rage shooting in Point Siena earlier this week. They tell us the suspect was driven to Miami by his girlfriend, where he was then taken into custody. The sheriff's office says Jose Astacio will soon be sent back to Osceola County to face charges. You may remember a driver was grazed by a bullet. His passenger shot in the face as they tried to drive off after the confrontation. It happened Tuesday afternoon on Cypress Parkway. The victim drove to nearby HCA Florida Point Siena Medical Center. The passenger was flown to Osceola Regional.
They don't know each other, so this is truly a straight road rage incident and just a pure terror on the highway. What if the rounds had escaped this vehicle into another vehicle, had shot anybody that's innocent, because this guy's a raging maniac.
Astacio faces multiple charges, with the most serious being attempted murder. The sheriff said he could not comment on whether or not the man's girlfriend knew he was hiding. New at 10 tonight, charter schools will soon be sharing space with traditional public schools. That's thanks to new rules just passed this week by the State Board of Education and a law signed by the governor this year. Those private schools can take over any unused space in public school buildings free of charge, and that doesn't just mean they aren't charged rent. The local school districts have to foot the bill for security, power, water, even busing. That fine print has many educators alarmed. News 6's Jarrell Baker explains how all this would work.
If your child is in public school, they could soon be sharing their campus with a charter school, according to new regulations approved by the Florida Department of Education Wednesday.
Here in Florida, they're going to be going in areas that have schools that have been very poor performers, and they are going to be giving populations who may not have had access to great education a chance to do something different.
The plan builds on the Schools of Hope law signed earlier this year, allowing charter schools to set up operations within a public school campus if it has unused or vacant facilities at no cost to the private school. Taxpayers would still foot the entire bill for things like maintenance, security, food, and busing.
Every year we are drastically underfunded by the state. And if we look, at transportation, OCPS spends $55 million more to provide transportation services for our students.
Orange County School Board member Stephanie Vanos says it doesn't matter if a school is high performing or not. Vanos says that she's worried that this will drain their resources.
When they look at the space availability, they are not considering things like VPK or CTE classes.
This comes just after the district announced that they expect to have nearly 7,000 fewer students in May, a drop that would cost the district an additional $25 million. Vanos hopes that the state will put up more money to accommodate this change.
Our public schools are starved. They're starved of funding. And I think that the real answer is to provide the funding that our public schools need.
She also pointed out that charter schools already receive funding from federal and state grants, plus the money public schools would have received for each student. In Orange County, Jarrell Baker, News 6.
Well, it's a big day for lovers of Asian cuisine in Orange County. The line wrapped around the block as H Mart opened its long-awaited location on West Colonial Drive. It took years of planning and construction to open this first H Mart in Florida. The largest Asian supermarket chain in the U.S. is also known as a cultural hub, especially for those with ties to Korea and East Asia.
You can find a lot of Korean products that you won't normally find in a normal grocery store, but they also have other stuff that that are kind of norm to everyone else.
News 6's Mark Lehman was there this morning and says there's almost too much to see and experience in one visit. We put a full report on what to expect inside this story at clickorlando.com. People are all about that store. All right, let's get you over to our meteorologist, Jonathan Kegas. We had some storms lighting up the radar today. Are those mostly gone?
Out of here tonight. Yeah, should have a nice quiet evening. Watch out for a little bit of fog tonight on the drive home, or if you're getting up early for work tomorrow. Where we had the heaviest rain, could have some fog settle back in with the extra moisture in the atmosphere, but a nice clean sweep right now. Tomorrow night again, especially in the evening, so I'm watching that closely for high school football. Likely going to have the opportunity for more of those afternoon and especially evening thunderstorms. You can track those that get going tomorrow if you're heading out to those high school football games or just anything for your Friday night. With the free News 6 weather app. There's 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. We are nice and dry. Should be a good start to the day, albeit humid and hot out there. Just 2 o'clock on your Friday, looking pretty good. We'll fire up a few thunderstorms late. This is going to be 7 to 8 o'clock in your evening. And this is what I'm talking about. Kickoff tomorrow for high school football. We're watching that closely. There's 9 o'clock, still dealing with a couple of downpours, maybe a few rumbles of thunder out there in the mix as well. I think we start things dry on your Saturday morning as well, and then we'll do it all again with the afternoon thunderstorms. 50% shot for storms tomorrow. The highest opportunity for the widespread stuff going to be along into the southeast of I-4 and then up and down the 95 corridor. 90 in Titusville tomorrow, 92 degrees in Leesburg. Nice and quiet right now in downtown Orlando. That's a live look with our Light Orlando delivering Hope Skycam this evening. Air temperatures back to the upper 70s. A few passing clouds out there. The breeze right now out of the south at about 5 miles an hour. It's helping to pump in that humidity we have out there. Tropical update. There's this disturbance that we are watching, some lightning on the southern side of the Dominican Republic. The center of this thing is north of the island, so it has emerged back out into the southwest Atlantic. It is disorganized. It likely will stay that way for the short term, but it is expected to develop into at least a tropical depression as it moves to the north and west. Latest modeling on this has it working through the Turks and Caicos and then up through the Bahamas and then very close to the southeast corner of the United States. Still optimistic again that the center of this thing stays offshore. There's going to be drier air on the west side of this thing as well, and that's also going to keep all of the worst of the weather on this thing east loaded. Might be a little breezy on Monday, so again, cautiously optimistic still, but still watching that for any kind of shenanigans, I like to call it, because we do still have the other storm in play. That's going to be Umberto, and that one's going to be getting on the stronger side as it slides to the north and west. This blue area right here, this is a dip in the jet stream. This upper low, it's going to try to grab whatever this becomes. And the eye storm, again, this is the disturbance in the Caribbean right now. It latches onto it and kind of pulls it back towards the Carolina coast. That's one of the solutions. If it gets stronger and faster, it's going to feel the trough a little bit more. If it stays on the weaker side, then Umberto might want to dance with it and then pull both of them back out to sea. So still a little bit to iron out over the weekend. But for us, cautiously optimistic that the core of this thing and the intensity on that should also be capped because of a few of those factors I mentioned. It should stay over the Atlantic. 91 on Saturday, 91 on Sunday. Rain chances going down because of the drier air that system pulls back over the Florida Peninsula, Matt.
If you shop on social media platforms, listen up. An Orange County couple who lost their life savings shares their story of deception that started on Facebook Marketplace. I'm News 6 investigator Louis Bolden. The story is coming up. News 6 uncovers a disturbing trend of online vehicle scams targeting hardworking families. I'm News 6 investigator Louis Bolden. An Orange County couple who lost their life savings shares their story of deception that started on Facebook Marketplace. It's a warning for anyone who shops on social media platforms.
Yeah, I bought it out in Mount Dora with 30,000 miles on it.
Jeffrey Colcatty enjoys his 2002 Chevy Avalanche so much.
These are all toolboxes.
He decided he wanted a newer version, and just like it.
The back The back actually comes out.
He says his search took him to Facebook Marketplace, where he thought he found the perfect vehicle.
So I found this one on the internet. Okay. 8,000 mile one. Thought it was a great deal. The guy called me back. We talked. You know, he's telling me how nice the truck is, pristine.
The company then sent the vehicle's Carfax report and a purchase agreement. The seller was Driveline Motor. The sale price, $12,300, and it was signed by the CEO. Cole Ketty and his wife were ready to go.
At any point, did you feel something might be off?
No.
Jeffrey wired the $12,000 and the signs of fraud emerged. The company's website disappeared, phone numbers were disconnected, and emails vanished. It was all the savings the couple had.
I lived my whole life, never had a savings account. That was the first savings account I ever had. Excuse me.
The crooks used a name similar to a real business. Instead of Driveline Motor Cars, they used Driveline Motor. According to the FTC, the amount of money Americans lose to fraud increases every year. In 2024, it was $12.5 billion, a 25% increase from the year before.
Shame on them. Shame on Facebook. They shouldn't even have a marketplace.
Trusting someone online, especially on a social site, you have to do the vetting.
Holly Sammons is the president of the Better Business Bureau of Central Florida. She says people assume that social sites have protections in place to prevent fraud.
It had everything on it.
They don't.
The social site is not going to do the vetting for you. Just because there's a listing doesn't mean anyone has done any sort of vetting. That's on you.
She says when it comes to high-ticket items, don't send more money than you can afford to lose. And definitely don't send money without seeing and inspecting the item first. And if possible, use a credit card instead of wiring cash.
I mean, now I know. Now I know. I'll never buy nothing without seeing it again.
Remember, don't fall for the scheme, don't get ripped off. But if you do, email me at theinvestigators@wkmg.com. I'm Louis Bolden, News 6.
Thanks for joining us tonight. You can find all of tonight's stories plus breaking news on News 6 Plus. It's free to download to that smart TV or your streaming device. We hope you have a great night. We'll see you at 11.